It's official. The Bengals have their 53-man set. On cutdown day, we saw some surprises. We also saw some ones that were not so surprising. We're going to break it all down, share with you the details, and what this Bengals team is going to look like going into the 2025 season. Welcome to the jungle. This is Isaac Coffman with Bengals Digest. Happy to see all you Bengals fans. And if you are not already, be sure you smash that subscribe so you'll be up to date on all the breaking news as they come out and get your voice heard as well. We want to hear from you Bengals fans. There's a lot of moving components, moving pieces going around, so you want to be up to date and share your thoughts as we get closer and closer to week one. So yes, the 53-man roster has been set. There was actually a few surprises. For the most part, you know what to expect, especially if you've been following this team, following training camp and seeing the preseason. A lot of the players that you were watching on Saturday against the Colts, you figured they were probably not going to make the team, but there were actually a few surprises. So let's break this down. Let's get right into it. This is the 53-man roster that came out. It was on Tuesday, cut down day. So it goes without saying, you have your quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Jake Browning. They typically like to keep just two quarterbacks. Look for them to get another guy on the practice squad. However, despite that, running backs, you have Chase Brown, Taj Brooks, Samaje Perine. So they are going with the three running backs there. Again, not much of a surprise. It was kind of trending that way, especially with Zach Moss being cut. There was talks of maybe they would go with four, but in this case, they're going with the three. Wide receivers. This is where a little bit of surprise. If you've been following them, maybe not so much. But Jamar Chase, of course. You have T. Higgins, Andre Yoshavash. You have Charlie Jones. We're really pulling for him. He's been flashing in training camp, and his problem has just been injuries. So as long as he can stay healthy, he's going to be an exciting player to watch. Jermaine Burton made this, and he was dealing with the injury with his knee, so something to watch out for. Looks like something maybe that's minor. He might be on week one. We'll see. Maybe he'll be inactive. That's one question mark I have. I have high hopes for Jermaine Burton. It seems like he's starting to put it together, at least mentally. That's been his issue. So this year, if he can put that together, he might be an exciting player to watch. But Mitch Tinsley, he is the surprise breakout, one that just nobody, I don't really saw the kind of performance anyway that he put on against the Commanders, that 2-touchdown performance. Great to have him. That's all I got to say. Next man up. Wide receiver, you're going to see some injuries from here and there. You just hope that the next guy that steps in can hold it down and possibly be kind of like that. Maybe you're not going to get 2 touchdowns every game like that within a matter of seconds, but hey, we welcome them, right? We want to see any kind of way to score when it comes to this offense. Tight ends, you have Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, Drew Sample, Tanner Hudson, and Cam Grandy. So a little interesting there. They went with the 5 tight ends. Again, another position that you probably want to be sure you have the depth going on there. Offensive line, Orlando Brown Jr., Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras, Lucas Patrick, Amarius Mims, Cody Ford, Jalen Rivers, and Matt Lee. A few surprises there for me. You notice that they have Matt Lee on there as that backup center. I think they're really high on Matt Lee, and he showed a lot of flash as well. If you study the film, if you really look at the blocking, he's got some promise. I love Ted Karras. I think he's a great center, but obviously he's not going to be around potentially in the next few seasons. So you definitely want to have someone that's going to be able to step into that center role. And I'm of the opinion too, if you have Ted Karras potentially slide over, maybe not this year, but in future years, maybe they decide to put him at guard, that type of thing. Matt Lee looks like he is the future, though. That's what this is kind of telling us, is that he is going to be the center of the future as of now. Obviously, a lot of things can change, but stay tuned to that. Defensive line, you have Trey Hendrickson. He just got signed, so don't have to worry about all the contract drama. He is going to be on the squad week one. Miles Murphy, TJ Slayton, BJ Hill, Shamar Stewart, Joseph Osai, Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, Cam Sample, Howard Cross III, and Eric Gregory. So this is really interesting too. There's some names on there that I think could be the next man up, the guy that's going to step up. You have Trey Hendrickson, but I think, again, it's pretty interesting that you have Howard Cross on there. A lot of fans have been saying they have liked what they've seen with him. Maybe a few of these names, if you don't recognize them, keep an eye on them because they made the 53-man squad for a reason. They are going to be counted on. They're going to need them to step up, especially on this defense that needs all the improvement it can get from last year. That's what we're talking about here. We don't need a top 5 defense. We need a defense that is going to get those stops when they count. So, excuse me. Sorry, I've been fighting off a cold, so sorry if I've been feeling a little off there. But moving on, they also have for linebackers, you have Logan Wilson, Demetrius Knight, Oren Burks, Barrett Carter, and Shaka Hayward. So linebackers, I'm a little bit concerned of. I don't know how much the depth would be if one of these guys went down. They usually only have about 2 linebackers out there. They like to run it where one of them is a rusher. That type of thing. It's interesting though. I'm something to keep an eye on. I think with cut down day, you might see them add another linebacker. I wouldn't be surprised, but then again, they might be confident in these guys that are able to do it. So something to keep an eye on there. Defensive backs, Dax Hill, a lot of hype going on him, especially the year he was having last year. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, Josh Newton, Marco Wilson, Geno Stone, Jordan Battle, Tyson Anderson, PJ Jules, and DJ Ivy. So not really surprising there. I think PJ Giles, that's actually one name a lot of fans were hoping for. He was playing with an edge. If you watch that game in preseason, he's something that maybe the secondary is lacking. You really hope that when it comes to Jordan Battle, we don't see what he did against the Commanders. They get a lot of flack for not bringing the energy on that tackle when it came to the Commanders that game. So again, this defense is going to be under the microscope, whether it should be or not. You're going by last year. Last year, they've got to get better. That's going to start with obviously the defensive line, but also the defensive backs. So I feel pretty good about these defensive backs. I think they got high praise from Marco Wilson. That's a name that you were kind of hearing thrown around as well. So I would not be surprised if he could be one of those players that steps up as well when they need him, especially when you're talking in those really intense games. They need to get that stop. Usually it's that defensive back that steps up and makes that play. So keep an eye on these guys too. Here's what's a big kind of surprise to me. When it comes to specialists, you got your Evan McPherson as your kicker, Ryan Rico, William Wagner, who is a rookie. He made it as long snapper. So that was really interesting to me. Interesting that they must have felt like there was a timing, that there was a good chemistry. Evan McPherson said as much. He had some good chemistry going on with Wagner and Rico, and that those little things add up. I mean, there was a few kicks that were missed, and that's on McPherson, but anything that is going to limit those, whether it's a timing issue, whether it's that chemistry, who knows? I mean, Cal Adamitis, I thought he was doing well, but maybe there was more to it. So there you go. There's the 53-man roster. A lot of, I would say for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, but there's some surprise cuts. Again, you go to one name. I was kind of looking at the surprise cuts. Here's some of the contracts of the 3 vested veterans. The Jalen Davis one I thought that was going to make the squad. He was cut. Joe Giles Harris was getting a lot of attention too. He made that interception return for a touchdown. It wasn't garbage time, but there was some hope for him. He's cut too, but maybe they get him back on the practice squad. That's the thing about this. When these guys are cut, it doesn't mean that they are done. They're more than likely going to try and get them back on the practice squad. You can't get all the guys, but that's what you're probably going to be looking at. So looking at the surprise cuts, again, Cal Adamitis, that's one that kind of, I thought, oh, that's kind of a surprise. But there was a total of 19 players waived. Again, doesn't mean all these guys are not going to be coming back in some form. You have the practice squad. But I would say look for a big name is Seth McLaughlin. We just talked about Matt Lee. I think that's the guy they're figuring is going to be the future at center. But there's been a lot of high marks for him. Seth McLaughlin, I think he's the real deal. He's coming back from that injury. I'm going to be keeping an eye on him because if teams have been scouting, been doing their homework, and they are in need of a center, he might not be there when it comes time to put them back on the practice squad. Because obviously these guys, when they're waived, they are put back onto wires. They can be claimed. They can be signed. The Bengals are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be looking at other teams and what players have been cut. And they're going to probably be looking at, I would say, again, linebacker might be one they go after, defensive line, possibly even a guard. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Dalton Reisner was in, but they might be waiting to see who's going to be on cutdown day. If they don't like somebody, maybe they do go back to Dalton Reiser. I can't say for sure. I just get a feeling that's maybe a position to keep an eye on. Isaiah Thomas was one that was a name that's put around. Desmond Ridder, that's another one of those that were cut. For the most part, I thought it was interesting. Cordell Volson was waived because of the injury, so probably going to be in some shape or form, unless claimed. I don't see because he's injured. But a few names, just again, for the way that this is working out, a few names were kind of a surprise, but at the end of the day, I'm all for just get the best team possible. You got to put the best players on the field. Another note is also they put Eric All on the reserve physically unable to perform list. That was just a bummer. I think he was on a tear last year. He was one that was a bright spot for that tight end. He could do, like his name says, Eric All. I mean, that's kind of rare to see a guy live up to his name. He could do it all. He could block. He could be that receiver. Just hope he comes back healthy and feels better. We'll wish him the best because they're going to need him when it comes to next year and beyond. And then tight end, love Mike Gesicki, love what Noah Fant can do. Keep an eye on those guys. But there you go, guys. That's kind of the squad that you're going to be looking at, that they're going to be rolling out. I think it's all going to come back to that defense, though. Now they've got the players set. Now what are the coaches going to be doing? Al Golden, as much as this is his first year, he's going to be under the microscope. They're going to be looking to see if he can improve this defense. We go back to that Commanders preseason. It was preseason. Again, it was preseason. It doesn't count, but that was just a really poor performance. It does not give you much enthusiasm going into the season. They do have that claim that they've only been running about 10 to 15% of the playbook. So that is a bright spot if you want to consider the full picture. You hope that they just come out and take people by surprise. That's what they are kind of hinting at. Even Zach Taylor saying as much. He feels like, he's happy with what the team's going to do. So it remains to be seen. But this is the players. Stay tuned because there are going to be some changes. Again, they're going to be potentially signing guys that were cut from other teams to the practice squad. It will take full shape with the practice squad. That's going to be the full team going into the season. But there you go. There's your 53-man roster. I think they did pretty good. I feel confident in the staff on getting the right guys. Kind of sad to see some of these guys go. I hope they can get them back on the practice squad so that they can at least be ready. If another guy goes down, they need to elevate them and to that starting role. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this 53-man roster? Do you think they got it right? Do you think they should have kept some guys? We want to hear from you. Comment below. And again, if you have not already, be sure you're subscribed so you'll be up to date when all of our new videos drop. So that's going to do it for now, guys. As we say, Hoo Day.